Just when the Sussex camp thought they had weathered the worst of the winter storms, a new front is moving in, and this one isn't coming from the British tabloids or a disgruntled YouTuber. It is coming from inside the house, or at least from someone who used to hold the keys to it. Reports are swirling as of yesterday, February 9th, that Jessica Mulroney, the woman who was once the keeper of all secrets and the architect of the sheer rise to power we witnessed, has been offered a $1 million deal to put pen to paper. And let's be honest, for $1 million, publishers aren't looking for a book about styling tips or wedding flower arrangements. They are paying for the dismantling of a reputation. It is good to have you here to look at what is really going on behind the PR curtain. We have been watching this saga unfold for years, noting the pattern of how people are used and discarded. But this potential pivot from Mulroney feels different. It feels final. For years, there has been a lingering question in the air. What happens when the one person who knows where every single skeleton is buried decides she has nothing left to lose? We might be about to find out. This isn't just about a broken friendship. This is about the potential exposure of the years before the crown, the years that have been so carefully scrubbed from the internet and from history. To understand why this is sending shockwaves through Montecito right now, we have to remember who Jessica was. She wasn't just a friend. She was the fixer. She was the one who arguably knew Meghan better than anyone else during that critical transition from a cable TV actress to a duchess. She was there for the first dates. She was there for the strategy sessions, and she was there when the narrative was being crafted. If you look back at the photos from that era, Jessica was always just a step behind, watching, calculating, and assisting. When you have a friendship that intense, that relies so heavily on mutual ambition and climbing the social ladder together, you share things that you never expect to see the light of day. You share the ruthlessness required to get what you want. And now, that vault of secrets is potentially up for sale. The timing of this is fascinating. We are looking at February 2026, a time when the Sussex brand is arguably at its most fragile. The big contracts have dried up, the Hollywood embrace has turned into a cold shoulder, and the general public has grown weary of the constant victimhood narrative. Into this weakened state steps the ghost of friendships past. The offer of $1 million is significant not just because of the amount, but because it signals that the publishing industry knows there is an appetite for the truth, the unvarnished, unapproved truth. They know that the public is tired of the curated version of events where our Duchess is the perpetual saint and everyone else is the villain. There is a profound sense of irony here. We all remember how Jessica was cut loose. It was swift, it was brutal, and it was public. When Jessica found herself in a controversy regarding white privilege a few years back, the support from Montecito was non-existent. In fact, it was the perfect excuse to sever a tie that had perhaps become too loose or too knowledgeable. That is the pattern we have discussed so many times. Once a person has served their purpose, or once they become a liability to the brand, they are markled. We saw it with her father. We saw it with her childhood best friend Ninaki Pretty, and we saw it with the royal family itself. But Jessica is different. Jessica is a power player in her own right, with her own connections and her own arsenal. Discarding her was a calculated risk, and it seems that risk is about to backfire spectacularly. What keeps the PR team up at night isn't just petty gossip. It is the specific, detailed knowledge regarding the timeline of the relationship with Prince Harry. There have always been whispers that the blind date story was a fabrication, a romantic gloss put over a much more determined pursuit. Jessica would know the truth. She would know exactly when the target was acquired and what the strategy was to secure the ring. For an audience that values tradition and honesty, the idea that a member of the royal family was essentially headhunted as a career move is deeply distasteful, yet it aligns with everything we have observed. If Mulroney confirms that the romance was a strategic operation rather than a fairy tale, it strips away the last clinging vestige of romance that some supporters still hold on to. Furthermore, there are the darker rumors that have circulated in hushed tones for years, rumors that mainstream media is terrified to touch due to litigious threats. We are talking about the questions surrounding the invisible years, the time spent on yachts, the connections to high society circles that overlap with some very unsavory characters. Jessica was part of that jet-set lifestyle. She knows who paid for the trips. She knows who was on the guest lists. There is a reason why the yacht girl label has stuck so persistently in online forums and private conversations. It isn't just jealousy. It's a reaction to the gaps in the story. A memoir from the former best friend could fill in those gaps with names, dates, and locations. Consider the bullying allegations that were buried by the palace. We know that a report exists, and we know it was suppressed to keep the peace. But Jessica was often present during those fits of rage and high demands. She saw how the staff was treated behind closed doors. We have heard stories about hot tea being thrown, about assistants being reduced to tears at 5 a.m., about a demand for perfection that bordered on mania. If Jessica corroborates the bullying report from a personal perspective, stating that she witnessed the demeaning behavior firsthand, it validates every single staff member who was silenced by NDAs. It paints a picture not of a humanitarian, but of a tyrant who used her new title as a bludgeon. Then there is the issue of the children and the pregnancies, a topic that is incredibly sensitive but one that remains a massive point of contention and speculation. The secrecy surrounding the births, the doctors, and the changing stories has fueled conspiracy theories for years. While we must be careful with speculation, it is undeniable that the public feels deceived by the lack of transparency that is standard for royal births. If Jessica Mulroney, who was intimately involved in the planning of the baby showers and the media rollout, has information that contradicts the official narrative regarding the surrogacy rumors or the timeline of the pregnancies, it would be the final nail in the coffin of public trust. It would be a deception of historical magnitude against the British people and the Crown. But why would Jessica do it? Why now? Aside from the money, which is substantial, there is the element of reputation rehabilitation for herself. She has been painted as the mean girl influence, the bad apple that Meghan had to discard to reach her full potential as a humanitarian. Writing this book allows her to reclaim the narrative. She can say, "I wasn't the bad influence. I was the one trying to manage the chaos." It is a classic move. When the ship is sinking, the first ones off are the ones who know where the holes are. And make no mistake, the ship is taking on water. The fear in the Sussex camp must be palpable because they know that Jessica has the receipts. We are not just talking about memories. We are talking about text messages, emails, and photos. In this digital age, nothing is ever truly deleted. We know Meghan is cautious, but with a best friend, boundaries are lower. There are likely exchanges that show the unmasked face of the operation, comments about the royal family, complaints about the boring duties, perhaps even mocking remarks about the British public or the Queen herself. If those texts are published, no amount of Netflix documentaries or soft focus interviews can undo the damage. It reveals the character, and character is the one thing you cannot buy with a PR firm. This brings us to the most explosive aspect of this potential memoir, the connection to the past that Meghan has tried desperately to bury. We are seeing a resurgence of interest in the yachting narrative, fueled by new photos and new scrutiny. It is not a coincidence that this book offer comes at the exact moment the Internet is dissecting images from 2016. The publishers are savvy. They see the trend. They see that people are asking questions about the connections to the Epstein case, about the presence of certain women in Meghan's past orbit. Jessica Mulroney is the bridge between the actress lifestyle and the royal lifestyle. She was there during the transition. If there are connections to be made between the Sussex sphere and the darker underbelly of the socialite world, Jessica holds the map. We have to wonder how Prince Harry is processing this. He has burned bridges with his own family to protect his wife's image, an image that was largely constructed with the help of the very woman who might now destroy it. It is a tragic irony. He cut off his brother, his father, and his old friends, isolating himself in a world where the only people left are employees and temporary allies. Jessica was one of the few linked to Meghan's past that he trusted. To have that turn into $1 million threat must feel like the walls are closing in. It validates every warning Prince William gave him. Remember the advice? Take as much time as you need to get to know this girl. William saw the ambition. He likely saw the manufactured nature of the entourage. And now, the head of that entourage is cashing in. The yacht girl allegations are particularly damaging because they strike at the heart of the moral superiority Meghan projects. You cannot preach about feminism and exploitation if your own ascent was built on navigating the darker waters of high society favors. The term yacht girl is often dismissed by their supporters as misogyny, but for those who have followed the social scene for decades, it is a specific term for a specific type of networking. It implies a transactional nature to relationships. If Jessica Mulroney addresses this, even if she just hints at the parties they attended, the men they were introduced to, the arrangements that were common in their circle, it recontextualizes the entire romance with Harry. It stops being a love story and starts looking like a successful business merger where Harry was the acquired asset. And let's look at the photo that dropped just yesterday, February 9th. It is circulating everywhere, and while the fact-checkers are scrambling, the damage is in the perception. It links the visual of a woman who looks strikingly like our Duchess with the inner circle of Ghislaine Maxwell. Whether that specific photo is 100% authenticated or not almost doesn't matter as much as the fact that it is believable. It resonates because it fits the missing pieces of the puzzle. We know Meghan was traveling extensively during those years. We know she was networking aggressively. Jessica was her wingman. If this book happens, we won't have to squint at grainy photos anymore. We will have the itinerary. We will have the guest list. This creates a perfect storm scenario. You have the financial pressure on the Sussexes, the waning public interest, and now the ultimate betrayal from the inner circle. It is the classic ending to a story built on sand. When you build a life on cutting people out, eventually you run out of people to cut, and the ones left standing are the ones holding the knives. Jessica Mulroney has been quiet for a long time, too quiet. That silence usually means one of two things: a legal agreement or the preparation of a strategy. With $1 million on the table, it looks like the strategy is shifting to scorched earth. For us, the observers, this is the validation of what we have suspected all along. The facade was too perfect, the rise too rapid, and the fallouts too frequent. Normal people do not lose every single friend and family member they have without there being a common denominator. Jessica's book would simply be the confirmation of that common denominator. It is the news we have been waiting for, not because we revel in someone's downfall, but because we value the truth. And it seems the truth comes with a seven-figure price tag. But as we pivot to discuss the darker rumors swirling specifically around the events of 2016 and those infamous yacht photos, we need to brace ourselves. If Jessica's memoir is the match, the rumors about Epstein and the yachts are the gasoline. Now let's wade into those murky waters, because if Jessica Mulroney is the spark, the rumors circulating right now about yachting and Jeffrey Epstein are the absolute dynamite. We need to talk about what happened yesterday, February 9th, because it has set the internet on fire in a way we haven't seen since the Oprah interview. A photo dropped on X, formerly Twitter, and it wasn't just a blurry paparazzi shot of a lunch date. It was a visual that seemingly connected our Duchess to the very heart of the Epstein scandal. The image, which claims to be from August 2016, shows a group of women relaxing on the deck of a luxury vessel. One of them, hidden beneath a wide-brimmed hat and oversized sunglasses, bears a striking, undeniable resemblance to Meghan. But it's not just who she looks like that matters. It's who she is sitting next to. The other woman in the frame has been identified by internet sleuths as Karina Shuliak. For those who haven't followed the intricate web of the Epstein saga, Shuliak was not just a passerby. She was Jeffrey Epstein's last girlfriend, the woman who was with him right up until the end. To see a figure who looks exactly like Meghan Markle casually lounging with a woman so deeply entrenched in that dark world is bone-chilling. While Ghislaine Maxwell isn't explicitly visible in this specific frame, the implication is heavy in the air. If you are on a yacht with Shuliak in 2016, you are in the Epstein orbit. It is that simple. And this is where the yacht girl narrative transitions from a mean-spirited nickname to a serious investigative question. We have heard the term yacht girl thrown around for years regarding Meghan's past, often dismissed by her defenders as sexist or elitist. But let's be adults here and look at what the term actually implies in high society. It doesn't just mean a girl who likes boats. In the circles of the ultra-rich, yachting is a euphemism for a very specific type of networking. It is a transactional lifestyle where beautiful, ambitious women are flown to exotic locations, the Mediterranean, the Caribbean, Phuket, to populate the parties of billionaires. They are there to provide atmosphere, conversation, and often companionship. It is a gray area between modeling, hosting, and escorting. The rumors have always suggested that before she met Harry, Meghan was a fixture on this circuit, allegedly recruited to charm powerful men. This is why the photo from yesterday is so dangerous for her. It provides the visual evidence for the story that has been whispered for a decade. We know that in 2016, Meghan was traveling extensively. Her Instagram from that era, before it was scrubbed, was full of eat, pray, love style travel photos from expensive locations. But who was taking the photos? Who was paying for the suites? A cable TV actress salary is good, but it isn't private yacht in the Mediterranean for weeks good. The math never quite added up. If Jessica Mulroney accepts that $1 million deal, She can do the math for us. She knows exactly who funded those trips. She knows if Meghan was there as a guest of a friend or as talent hired for the entertainment of men like Prince Andrew or his associates. Speaking of Prince Andrew, the irony is thick enough to cut with a knife. Prince Harry has spent years distancing himself from his uncle, using Andrew's scandal to claim moral high ground and demand security. But if his own wife was circulating on the same decks, attending the same parties and possibly rubbing shoulders with the same traffickers as his uncle, the hypocrisy is monumental. It would mean that Harry didn't save Meghan from a cruel world. He married directly into the chaos he claims to hate. It suggests that the royal family's background check on Meghan, the one we heard rumors about, the one that allegedly caused William to tell Harry to slow down, uncovered exactly this. Think about William's warning again in this context. Take as much time as you need to get to know this girl. It wasn't snobbery. It was intelligence. The British security services, MI5 and MI6, would have flagged a connection to the Epstein circle immediately. If Meghan's name appears in those files, and the rumors that she was considered as a potential witness rather than just a bystander are growing louder, then William knew. The Queen knew. They were trying to protect Harry from a woman who was potentially compromised by the biggest sex trafficking scandal of the century. And what did Harry do? He accused them of racism and fled the country. If the truth comes out that they were protecting him from a yacht girl past, the Sussex victim narrative evaporates instantly. Of course, we have to address the fact-checkers. Within hours of the photo dropping yesterday, the usual outlets were rushing to label it unsubstantiated or a digital manipulation. They claim it's a case of mistaken identity or a cleverly edited meme. And maybe it is. In the age of AI, anything is possible. But here is the thing. The public doesn't believe the denials anymore. We have been lied to about the near-catastrophic car chase, we were misled about the circumstances of the Oprah interview, and we have seen too many inconsistencies. When trust is gone, people believe their eyes. And their eyes see a woman who looks like Meghan, acting like a socialite in the company of Epstein's inner circle. Even if this specific photo is debunked, it acts as a lightning rod for all the other photos, the ones with Marcus Anderson, the ones from the Soho House days, that paint a picture of a woman on the hunt for a wealthy target. This brings us back to the files. We know that sealed documents regarding the Epstein case are still being trickled out. Every time a new batch is released, there is a collective holding of breath in Montecito. Why? If there is nothing to hide, there should be no fear. But the aggressive legal maneuvering, the silence on the topic, and the sudden panicked PR moves whenever the story resurfaces tell a different tale. It suggests fear of exposure. And who would know if Meghan was truly worried about her name surfacing? Jessica Mulroney. Jessica would have been the one fielding the late-night panic calls. She would know if Meghan ever said, "I hope they don't find out I was on that boat." The yacht girl label also reframes the entire romance with Harry. The official story is a fairy tale, a blind date, instant connection, love against the odds. The yachting theory suggests something much more cold and calculated. It suggests that Harry was simply the ultimate get, the biggest whale in the ocean. If you have spent years charming oligarchs and producers to climb the ladder, a lonely, vulnerable prince with a savior complex is an easy target. It implies that she didn't fall in love with him. She identified his weaknesses and played the role he needed. She became the humanitarian, the victim, the mother figure, whatever was required to close the deal. This is why the grifter label used by that Spotify executive stung so much. It hit too close to the truth. We are looking at a potential cascade of revelations. The photo from February 9th is the visual hook. Jessica Mulroney's book is the narrative confirmation. Together, they form a pincer movement that the Sussex PR team cannot fight. They can't sue Jessica if she tells the truth about her own experiences, and they can't sue the internet for looking at a photo and asking questions. The strategy of complain and explain is dead. They are now in the hide and hope phase. And let's not forget the broader context of the audience. We have watched this drama unfold for nearly a decade. We have seen the disrespect shown to the late Queen, the attacks on Catherine, the Princess of Wales, and the constant whining from a mansion in California. There is a sense of fatigue, yes, but also a sense of justice finally being served. For years, people who pointed out these inconsistencies were labeled trolls. Now, with a $1 million book deal on the table and photographic evidence circling the globe, it feels like the vindication of the silent majority. The conspiracy theorists were just people paying attention. If Jessica Mulroney decides to take that $1 million, and let's be real, who would turn that down after being publicly humiliated and discarded? She effectively holds the detonator to the Sussex marriage. Harry can forgive a lot, but can he forgive being played? Can he forgive the embarrassment of the world knowing that his wife was allegedly entertaining the very people he despises? It attacks his ego, his judgment, and his protective instinct. It leaves him looking not like a hero, but like a fool. In the end, this isn't just about gossip. It is about the unraveling of a carefully constructed persona. We are seeing the real Meghan Markle emerge from behind the curtain of PR firms and friendly journalists. It is a picture of ambition, ruthlessness, and a past that refuses to stay buried at sea. The yacht photos, whether they are from 2016 or just symbolic of that era, represent the hustle that got her to the palace. But the palace demands purity, or at least discretion. Meghan offered neither. She brought the chaos of the yacht world into the structure of the monarchy, and when it didn't fit, she tried to burn the monarchy down. So, as we watch the fallout from these reports, remember that where there is smoke, there is usually a fire. And right now, between Jessica's potential memoir and the resurfacing of the Epstein connections, Montecito is burning. The only question left is, will Harry stay in the burning house, or will he finally wake up and realize he was just another stop on the itinerary? We will be watching closely. The truth has a funny way of floating to the surface, just like a yacht on the Mediterranean.